So, not too long ago, I made this video regarding the hectic state of Southwest Airlines' operation at Chicago O'Hare. A recent trip to Dallas had me, once again, back on board Southwest, giving me a perfect chance to see how its operation at O'Hare has changed over the past year. With Terminal 5's expansion having recently opened, I was already expecting things to go a little more smoothly on this trip. So with that being said, let's jump on board the 737-800 from Chicago O'Hare to Dallas Love Field, the 100th trip report on this channel. It's a beautiful Tuesday evening here in Chicago, and we're kicking things off here at the departures level of Terminal 5. Now, for US domestic travel, it's commonplace now to simply check in online and get your mobile boarding pass. That way, once you arrive at the airport, you head straight to security. And believe me, being efficient like this definitely helps a lot, especially when flying from Terminal 5. I recently enrolled in TSA PreCheck, and as expected, the line was very short, with only the Qatar Airways flight crew in front of me. I would much rather be joining them on board this aircraft, but inshallah sometime soon. After clearing TSA in 8 minutes, I had some overpriced $17 pizza for dinner while also doing some plane spotting. Renovation work still continues at Terminal 5, and for the time being, the central part of the terminal is an absolute mess with people everywhere, but that's to be expected. At the moment, it seems that gates M18 and M19 are temporarily closed as they get worked on, in addition to M26 further down the hall. Ever since the new expansion opened, Southwest has consolidated most of its operations to this part of Terminal 5, which has helped them tremendously. Now, because the expansion is all the way on the east end of the terminal, reaching it involves quite a lengthy walk. It only took me about 10 minutes to walk here from the central area, but for others that may take significantly longer. So if you're flying Southwest from O'Hare, be ready to walk. I last visited the expansion in February, just days after its inauguration. Back then, a bunch of parts were still missing, like this area between gates M27 and M28 that didn't even have seats yet, but now it's nice to see that those have been installed. Some nice wall sculptures and a moving walkway are also present. However, the moving walkway has yet to start working. It was turned off both this time and when I arrived back at Terminal 5 the following week. Otherwise, the expansion is nearing full completion, aside from minor construction still taking place near gates M38 through M40. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again, it just feels so nice walking through this expansion because of just how much space there is. The architecture and design are truly stark contrasts from the rest of Terminal 5. Our flight today departs from the very last gate of Terminal 5, M40. M40 is a rather unusual gate, as you'll see shortly. Therefore, any plane that parks there is a little hard to see from inside the terminal. You can just barely make out the tail of our 737 just back there. Tonight we're on board November 8668 Alpha, an 8-year-old 737-800 delivered to Southwest in May 2015. The boarding process at Southwest is a little unorthodox and one that first-time Southwest flyers might find confusing. Basically, depending on how early you check in, you get assigned a number 1 through 60 across boarding groups A, B, or C. Group A passengers are those who checked in the earliest, and vice versa for Group C. The boarding area has various pylons, each marking a specific numerical group in increments of 4. Today I was assigned boarding position A40, so I lined up next to the pylon listing 36 through 40. The reason why Southwest has such a weird boarding process is because they don't offer seat reservations. It's all open seating, so once you're on board the plane, you choose where to sit. That's why it always helps to check in as early as possible so you have a better chance of getting your preferred seat. As I mentioned earlier, today we're boarding through gate M40, which is by far the longest jetway in the entire terminal. You'll get a better external view once we're on board the aircraft. Southwest only offers economy seating on its aircraft, with 175 seats on the 737-800 and 737 MAX 8. Our aircraft today still has the old cabin, and the seats, despite being relatively simple, are still nicely padded and comfortable. On the seat back, you'll find a full-size extendable tray table, and below that a seat pocket with a safety card, in-flight service pamphlet, and air sickness bag. The legroom is also really good, about 32 to 33 inches of pitch, which is 2 to 3 inches more than full-service rival American, as we've covered in previous videos. As expected, personal air vents, call buttons, and reading lights can be found above the seats. Southwest offers free in-flight Wi-Fi through which you can do basically anything for free as well, aside from accessing the internet, which is $8. As to be expected with the US carrier, there is a plethora of entertainment options ranging from movies to TV shows and also live TV. Be aware that you will have to watch an ad of some sort before starting your show. Another cool feature of Southwest's in-flight Wi-Fi that you don't really see on other US airlines is a 3D interactive in-flight map. There are various viewing options and you even get specific information regarding your destination. Of course, with the map being interactive, you can move it around and zoom in and out. I also really like how the Wi-Fi site lists connecting flight information. That's really helpful and something I haven't seen on other airlines' Wi-Fi pages. You can also check destination weather, and no surprise there, Dallas is much hotter than Chicago. Last but not least, the full refreshments menu is also available to browse on the site, in addition to being listed in the dedicated pamphlet. Snack service began about 45 minutes into the flight. It was the usual choice of drink, water for me, and a packet of snack mix, which was good as always. Despite this flight being relatively full, I managed to score an empty seat next to me, which made everything a lot more comfortable. The rest of the flight was in the dark and uneventful. Still, it went by pretty fast, and in no time, it was time for descent into Dallas. The on-time performance of tonight's flight was fantastic. This Southwest flight number 1915 was assigned to the O'Hare Dallas Love Field route between June 4th and July 10th. Our flight on June 20th remains the fastest and most punctual flight 1915 during this time frame, with a 1 hour 37-minute flight time and nearly 30-minute early arrival. We approached Dallas from the northeast before turning base right over Valley Ranch and coming into land on runway 13 right.
On behalf of Southwest Airlines and your flight crew, we'd like to be the first to welcome you to our home, Dallas Love Field. Please remain seated for just a little bit longer until we taxi to the gate.
Overall, a fantastic experience on Southwest tonight, with a comfortable cabin, good service, and exceptional crew both in the cabin and flight deck. Believe it or not, for the dates I was planning to be in Dallas, Southwest was the cheapest option by a long shot. My usual choices, American or United, were selling tickets for upwards of $440 round trip. My round trip tickets on Southwest for the very same dates were a fraction of the cost at just $188 round trip. Despite missing out on mileage accrual with American or United, this price on Southwest was unbeatable, and I'm glad I booked it. Now that I'm off the plane, you're probably wondering, should I still consider flying Southwest from O'Hare or just stick to Midway? Well, the addition of new gates with the Terminal 5 expansion has been very helpful for Southwest, and I would definitely say that if the price is right and if the timings are convenient, Southwest is a perfectly good choice from O'Hare. I would still recommend checking in online and reaching the airport 2 hours early to account for the lengthy walk you'll have to make to reach the Southwest gates in the expansion. As for the updated Southwest arrival experience, that will be in the next episode coming out soon. But that will do it for today's video, and just wow, my 100th trip report ever. I just want to briefly take a moment to thank everyone who has been supporting these videos ever since I uploaded my first trip report all the way back in early 2016. The videos and production quality have come a long way since then, and I really hope to continue making these videos for as long as I can because they are my absolute favorites to make. But if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone. Take care and see you next time.